Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of Ice Wolves Insider.
And it's Liam Brennan! The hat-trick goal wins the Credit Union Cup for the LaGrange Ice Wolves!
Well, on this evening's program, we'll be chatting with Ice Wolves assistant coach Gavin Holcomb, as well as Ice Wolves Players-Byron Sorensen and Michael Verret. And all three will be chatting about the fact that the Ice Wolves have clinched first overall in the league standings. First time that's happened in franchise history. Obviously, it should be a great show. We'll see you right back. Welcome back to Ice Wolves Insider. This time we're joined by Ice Wolves Blue Liners Byron Sorensen and Michael Verret. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So obviously, again, exciting times here in Ice Wolves country. Last week, you guys were able to deliver in terms of clinching first place, not just in the conference standings, but in the league overall standings. That must have felt pretty good. Maybe just talk about that accomplishment. I'll start with you there, Byron.
Yeah, it's something that I haven't been a part of since minor hockey days, clinching first place in the league. But it's big because home ice all the way through the playoffs, and that home ice can be the difference sometimes. So yeah, we feel great, and we've been playing good hockey, so we just want to keep it going.
Yeah. Michael, your take on the accomplishment of first place overall, really the first time in franchise history something like this has happened. You must feel privileged to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, I've never been part of something like that before. It's yeah, it's great. I mean, we're all happy about it, and we just hope to keep going.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the victories that got you there in the last week here. Perhaps the most key victory was the one over Melfort on home ice. So a lot of people were gearing up for this game. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys were, there's a lot of people weren't sure how this was going to go simply because you guys haven't faced each other for quite some time, I believe, and they've made a lot of changes. So you guys eventually end up winning that game. I think the score was something like 3-1 or something like that. Maybe talk about what got you that victory. Why did you guys prevail that night? Start with you there, Byron.
Basically, we looked at it as a playoff game, so we came out and played playoff hockey. We were dumping and chasing. The forwards were banging their defense around and caused a lot of turnovers. And we thought that we had something to prove. They geared up over the deadline there, and we kind of kept our course with the team we had. We believe that we have the team that can win. Our coaching staff believes in us, so we wanted to prove that we're the #1 team in the league, and we went out and did that night.
Yeah. Michael, your take on that big win over Melfort there?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that they were behind us, and we're just get set with it, like just know that we're the first. So we went out there like playing a playoff game, and we outworked them, and just turned out well.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your games against Flin Flon. Really it's been quite the heated rivalry this season. The last few games have been pretty heated. How critical was it for you guys to come away with maybe the season series, winning it 6-2, knowing that you guys might face these guys down the road in the playoffs? Start with you there, Byron.
Yeah, it was big. They're our rival in the league, I guess, because we play them 8 times, and it was big to get the series win like that, and it also sets the tone if we come up in playoffs where we can beat them in their building. Like we swept all 4 games, and we can beat them in our building, so it was huge.
Yeah. Michael, what was it like playing those games against the Bombers? Did you find they're a little bit more maybe intense, a little bit more physical than some of the other games you guys have played recently?
Yeah, I thought it was a little different. Yeah, there's more intensity. Like you can feel it's a big rivalry, and yeah, it's just like at another level when we play against them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure you guys hate getting this sort of question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. It looks like you guys will be facing either the North Stars or the Bombers. Likely, I guess, would be the second round of the playoffs because you guys get the first round bye. I'm not sure if you guys necessarily have a team that you'd prefer to face, but maybe tell us what those teams tend to do and what are the things you guys have to do to beat either team. I'll start with you there, Byron.
Yeah, well, Flin Flon tries to get under your skin and try and get you all riled up to take bad penalties or stuff like that. So we just gotta play our game and not let them get into our heads and make kind of ourselves beat ourselves kind of. If we play our game, we'll be fine against them. And with Battleford, they have strong defense. A lot of their defense have a lot of points, and so I think if we put lots of shots to the net, that kind of we can counteract and make them work a lot, and we should be fine against them too.
Yeah, Michael. Obviously, you haven't been here all season, but your take on what those two teams bring to the table in terms of what you're going to have to do to beat either one of those teams?
Well, I haven't seen Battleford yet, but Flin Flon, I mean, like Byron just said, they're just trying to get into our head. And if we play against them, we just got to play our game and just focus on ourselves, and we know we can beat them. And if we play Battleford, then I guess I haven't really seen them yet, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. Sure, a lot of teams, a lot of Ice Wolves fans are hoping that they beat the daylights out of each other in that the first round series. Looks like they got a pretty healthy rivalry themselves there. Michael, let's talk about the season you've had. Obviously, you've only been here maybe a little bit over a month and a half, but just talk about what the adjustment has been like to playing in the SJHL compared to some of the hockey you've played in the past. What has it been like?
Well, I mean, obviously, the SJHL is a much faster league than the prep school league I was playing in last year. But I think I'm getting there, you know, just keep working and practice. And the coaches have been helping me a lot, my teammates too. So I guess I'm getting there and just keep working. And
What would you say is the biggest difference between prep school hockey? Is it in fact the speed, or?
Yeah, it's much faster. It's more physical too. Like when you don't have as much time to like take a decision when you have the puck. You know, you got to think quicker and make the plays quicker.
Yeah. All right, Byron. How do you think your season's coming along there? Are you kind of meeting kind of the goals you set for yourself in terms of I don't know, ice time and things like that, points?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I had an injury before Christmas there that kind of stalled me for a little bit, but this last little bit I think I've been picking it up, and right now I think I'm playing pretty good and pretty happy with myself. It's not always about points and all that. I would have liked to have more, but I know my role is to keep goals out on our net, so as long as I'm doing that, I'm happy, and as long as the team's winning, then everyone should be happy. So that's kind of my motto. So
yeah. Someone was just pointing out the other day, you actually have for a defenseman, almost a ridiculously low penalty minute total. How are you able to do it? I guess got a good rapport with the referees?
Yeah, no, I try and pride myself on positioning. If you're not out of position, you shouldn't have to take penalties, and sometimes you have to, but I guess I haven't been in the situation where I've had to get in a fight or anything like that where that says, and I try not to take bad penalties, so I guess that's why the penalty minutes aren't as high. So.
Good stuff. Okay, just finally, obviously it's kind of almost kind of an unusual situation you guys are in, because you guys obviously want to keep your foot on the gas pedal the last little while here, but at the same time you guys want to protect yourselves against injuries, and you guys already know you got things sewn up and all the rest of it. What have the coaches been saying about how you approached the last week and a half of action here? You got a big road trip coming up. You got a home game against Humboldt. What have they been saying about how you guys approach these upcoming games? Let's start with you there, Byron.
Yeah, I think they're saying we keep going. We want to go into the playoffs on a high note, but at the same time, if a guy gets banged up, maybe it's not as critical that they get in the next game. But for sure, we don't want to give away points to any teams making on the bubble of the playoffs either. Like we want to keep winning. We want to roll into the playoffs on a high note. So we're not letting off at all. We're gonna go. Yeah.
Michael, you get the last word on that. How are you guys going to approach the last week or so here?
I think they've just been saying that it's important that we keep our confidence up for the playoffs. So we just want to win as many games as we can in this road trip, and we're gonna have like a week and a half to rest before playoffs. So we can give all we have in this road trip.
All right.
Get the wins.
Good stuff. Well, Michael, Byron, thanks very much for being on the program this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. If you're just joining us, this is Ice Wolves Insider, and we've been chatting with Ice Wolves defenseman Byron Sorensen and Michael Verret. We'll be right back with assistant coach Gavin.
Some people think wetlands are wastelands. Actually, marshes and other wetlands are important ecosystems, home to an amazing diversity of wildlife. Without them, some species would disappear. We would suffer too, since wetlands help purify and control the levels of our water. Many of these fragile areas are being lost to development, so let's do what we can to protect wetlands. To learn more, visit hww.ca.
Welcome back to Ice Wolves Insider. This time we're talking with Ice Wolves assistant coach Gavin Holcomb. Gavin, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again on the season you guys have had. Obviously, as we were mentioning earlier, you guys have sewn up first place both in the conference and in the overall standings. Maybe just talk about the accomplishment of where you guys are at and what it's taken to get here. Obviously, it's been a lot of hard work and so forth. Maybe just talk about just the experience of clinching it. With still 5 games to go in the regular season.
It's a bit of a weight off the shoulders for sure. It's a goal that we set early in the year. We wanted to be in first place. I think it was just a game at a time approach, that ended up, going our way so far. So, everybody's feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, you talk about it being a goal early on. Honestly, there was a lot of fans, prognosticators, so forth, pundits, if you will, that weren't sure how this was going to go for the Ice Wolves this year, given all the guys you lost from the previous year. And at what point in the season did you think, okay, you know what, we really do have the horses where we can make a serious run at this? Is there any point where you can pinpoint where you thought, yeah, we're going to actually take a serious run at first place here?
Well, it was good to get guys like Justin Ducharme and Phil Cleese right off the bat. But as the year kind of went on, we got Logan Haroff and Byron Sorensen. Robert Monfort came back for us too, and those are big pickups for us that added a lot of depth. Reese Dino came in too, and then the whole Egham Cray Lyndon Smith thing came together. So it's kind of just been progression. But once all those pieces were in place, we knew with Bartko being in net and our defense getting stronger like that, we were going to have a good chance to do some damage.
Is there any one aspect of the Ice Wolves game that you would think has perhaps been for you the biggest revelation, the biggest surprise, something that you weren't sure about, that then as the season wore on, you're like, we are going to excel in that area as well? Is there anything in particular that you wondered about early on in the season or had doubts about?
I'm not sure if we had doubts about, but we have scored a lot of goals. I think we've got the most in the league, so that's a great thing to have, and our power play's been really good. Our penalty kill wasn't as good early on as we wanted it to be, but it's gotten better here in the last month or so. I guess our overall offense and getting scoring from all our lines.
Mm-hmm. Now there must have been a point, obviously probably all season, where you guys were taking a look at this last part of the schedule before you had the Humboldt game postponed to the 22nd. You're going to basically end off with 4 games and 5 nights road trip. I'm sure you're wondering about, how critical will these games be? This is going to be a long road trip, and we're probably going to need these points. And then, as it turns out, you guys have already clinched before this road trip. How much of a relief is that to have accomplished that before the last 5 games here?
Well, that's good for sure. To be honest, I didn't look too far ahead. I never do, but it is definitely nice to have that locked up now, and we can just not sit back by any means, but the pressure's off a little bit, and we know that we're in a good spot, and we can just make sure that we're getting in playoff mode.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, let's talk about what's going to happen over the next little while. How do you guys approach these games? You do actually face a couple of teams that a lot of people think will be some of your biggest competition in the playoffs. The Mustangs and the York Interiors if you advance to the league final. How do you approach this last week here, against, knowing that you want to safeguard yourself against injuries, but at the same time keep the foot to the pedal there?
Well, for every team that we're going to play against here on this road trip, Nipawin's got nothing to lose. They're not really in the playoff picture right now, so they're going to be playing hard in front of their home fans. Melford's going to be an intense game again. The Yorkton game too. They're first in the South right now, and it's a possibility. If both teams go all the way, you'll see them in a final and get a rematch. And Melville's going to be very desperate. They're still fighting for a playoff spot with Notre Dame. So, keeping that in mind, we're going to have to be sharp. But I think for us, it's just really important right now that we're not changing our game. We need to be getting better every game. We still have 5 games to tighten things up and make sure that we're absolutely as ready as we can be going into the playoffs.
Obviously, when it happened, where the Humboldt game earlier in the year, I think it was back in September, if I'm not mistaken, it was, you know, obviously a bummer. A lot of people didn't want to see that game happen. It just about did happen because I think it was a power outage or something going on like that. And but looking back, like hindsight being 2020, are you kind of glad that you have that extra game there, where it's not say you're waiting 2 weeks before the start of the playoffs? You do have a little bit more. You know, have a game in there, so you're not completely rusty by the time the playoffs start.
Well, it'd be nice to get a game in there at home, you know, to finish up at home. To be honest, I go back to that game quite a bit. That one that got canceled, we lost the first one to Humboldt, and that one got canceled. And I'm not saying we would have lost the next one, but if we would have, I think it would have changed our season a lot. I think that would have made us 500. You know, instead we won the next few games, not playing them, and you know, it's kind of funny how it works that way, but. You know, I think it's going to work in our favor this way as well. And like I said, get that extra home game in, and it's just an extra game for us right now to, you know, get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about kind of the last week of action here. We've seen obviously big wins over Melfort and Flin Flon. Let's start with the Melfort game. Obviously, you got the desired result. From a coach's perspective, how did you like that game?
It was a pretty good game. You know, we didn't think, you know, our passing was as crisp. One thing I liked was I think the guys had some nerves, you know, as some of the players said before, you know, they were taking it like a playoff game. We were taking it like a playoff game. And I think the guys were gripping the sticks a little tight, you know, which isn't too bad of a thing, you know. It's good to work through some nerves. And Melfort's got a dangerous team. They're fast, they're deep, and I thought that we played well, and it was a tight game. And you know, as we started finishing more checks and putting more pressure on them, the play started going our way. But it was a good 60-minute game that we needed.
Seemed to be a team. The Mustangs seem to be a team that almost like a transition team. They're just waiting for you to make mistakes. You know, they'll still go up the ice, they'll still do rushes, but they won't really leave themselves vulnerable. And how much of a test was it to face a team like that was just waiting for you to make the first mistake, and then that's when they you know, try for their offensive chances? Did you find that a tricky game to play, or?
Well, it's the exactly the kind of game that we need, because in the playoffs, no matter who you're playing, you know, you make some mistakes or you make some bad decisions, and it's going the other way, and it could end up in the back of your net. So they're definitely an opportunistic team, and they got a lot of speed, and their transition is quick. So it was important for us to play a game like that and make sure that we're staying high percentage, low risk plays, and just simple playoff hockey. Yeah.
And then the following night, you guys came away with another victory over the Flin Flon Bombers. Maybe give us your assessment of that game.
I thought we got off to a bit of a slow start. We weren't very happy with our first period. They did score 30 seconds in. I thought our guys did a good job, though, of regrouping into the second period. We ended up scoring 4 goals in the second period. It didn't seem to be as feisty of a game as the other games were against Flin Flon. You know, I don't know the reason for that. Maybe they and us, you know, didn't want a lot of injuries, or for whatever reason, it just wasn't that feisty. But I thought we did well, staying composed and sticking to the game plan. And it was nice to finish off that series with a win at home.
Yeah. Just finally, Gavin, speaking of injuries, not that you have to go into any kind of detail, but there's been a few guys that have been out of the lineup recently. Are you thinking that you're going to get most of these guys back in time for the playoffs, or how are things looking?
Actually, we're pretty confident, yeah, of getting quite a few of them back. Well, maybe all of them.
Okay.
But we'll just see, I guess, how it goes. It's kind of a day-to-day thing with a lot of guys, and you know, we do still have 5 games left, and lots can happen there too. So, good opportunity for some of our other guys to get some more ice, and you know, maybe call up a few AP guys that we're gonna, you know, need and use throughout the playoffs, kind of like we did with, you know, guys like Boyer and Ledoux and stuff last year. So, might be a good opportunity to get some guys like that in the lineup, but just take it a game at a time.
All right. Well, Gavin, again, congratulations on the season so far, and thanks very much for being on the program with me.
Thank you.
All right. If you're just joining us, this is Ice Wolves Insider, and we've been talking with Ice Wolves assistant coach Gavin. Holcomb. We'll be right back.
The Warhamps is a big family. It's people who I can relate to, who have amputations like me.
It's like a big support group.
It's allowed me to reach goals that I never thought possible.
My prosthetic limbs, the warm-ups gave me, helped me so much. I can do running, snowboarding,
play guitar, ride my bike, skip rope, play soccer. I can run really fast.
I play hockey.
I can do what you can do, and that's what the warm-ups does for people.
Well, that's all the time we have for this evening's edition of Ice Wolves Insider. I want to thank our special guests this evening. That would be Ice Wolves assistant coach Gavin Holcomb, as well as Ice Wolves players Michael Verret and Byron Sorensen. It's been a great show. We'll see you next week.